The key thing with digital construction, the way it changes the way people work, is all to do with the removal of repetition of process. Historically, companies have had to repeat the different areas of the design process. So the engineer, their drawings wouldn't necessarily be used by the steel fabricator, and then those drawings or those models wouldn't necessarily be used later on down the stream. So the way it really has changed it now is that it improves the productivity of companies due to them not having to repeat those processes, and that reduces cost, reduces errors, so projects are delivered on time with lower variation costs than those and everything's attributed to that. The wider benefits are more than just the 3D model environment. Whilst the 3D allows you to collaborate with other project stakeholders in ensuring that your model doesn't clash with another, making sure you've got supports in the right positions, etc. On top of that, you also get information from that model, so that might be bills of materials, which are millimetre accurate. You can also do time planning on that model, and you can do resource planning from the model too. The newer generations of people who are coming through from colleges now are much more used to an intuitive way of working. They're not really so reliant on, for instance, if you look at the Apple devices, you don't need an instruction manual to be able to use it. They're much more interested in visualization of a project or of an item. So it engages more with the young people coming up through the colleges and into the construction industry, having an environment where it's more in tune with how they live their lives on a day-to-day basis. I'd say the main challenge is, to a certain degree, the existing construction processes and the people who work within them. People are very used to working in a 2D environment. They trust the environment, they know it works for them. Getting them to change their way of working, way of thinking into an environment that's more three-dimensional, four-dimensional, five-dimensional, and so on, as we know with the different advantages of using 3D models, is quite a challenge for the industry. We also have a bit of a skills shortage in the UK. We have people coming through colleges and universities with degrees in engineering, but then how can those people then be brought into more of the detailing side, which isn't necessarily something that they've looked at within their education. One thing that we notice as we work with these customers is that the training is very much part of the product of the service we need to supply. We can't just sell a product and expect that to then be integrated within a company. It's changing the way the business works. It's changing the way that the organisation as a whole works, and getting more of a cultural change within the business as opposed to just looking at point products, which is what their initial inquiry was about. So I think there's various different challenges, but adoption is probably the key one. It's been mentioned a lot today, but I think trust is the biggest challenge, or the biggest thing they need to change. We work in a competitive environment. The businesses that work in construction are all corporate entities. Because that brings risk associated with that. You're basically producing a prototype every time you build a building, so the amount of risk involved is quite high. Getting into a way of working that risk is taken on board, but with an understanding that with the technology that is in the background, that risk can be mitigated, is one of the things that would need to change in a company for them to be able to embrace it fully.